All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to May 24th. Happy Tuesday. It's Morning Coffee Review. How you doing today, Michael?
Doing great. It is getting warmer out here in the good old state of Arizona. I'm ready to kick off today and what we'll be talking about.
We got a lot to talk about. So I want to start with a couple things. So today on our list, we're going to be talking about making custom tool sets with estimation in mind. So this will be pretty fun. We're going to lean on the community for some of the stuff in this one because we're not estimators. We can play them on TV, but we don't do estimations like some of you guys do every day. So if you have any cool tips or tricks to share, put them into the chat in a minute. But before we get to that, we want to talk about community things. So we like to talk about the fact that in-person conferences are back, and AU is back, Autodesk University, and our own Beth Evano will be teaching a class there.
She will.
A couple other folks
Congrats.
here at AETG that will be teaching classes. So congrats to everybody. It's a pretty big accomplishment. It's a good thing for you and your resume and your company. So congrats to everybody who will be at AU.
And we may see you there. We may
see you there, but we will see you at the Bluebeam Extreme Conference. Michael and I will be teaching a class, as well as ATG will do some sort of marketing or sponsoring of the event. But I believe we got another MCR regular who will be teaching a class as well. Is that you, Doug? That's you, Doug.
It is Doug.
Something about Excel, which, gives me the heebie-jeebies. But I look forward to seeing it. So if anybody else has a class that they'll be teaching at AU or Bluebeam Extreme, type it in the chat. We'd like to give you a shout out. Make sure that we can support you. And that's what we're all about here. We're about supporting the community. We got folks from all over the country, and some of you are, international as well. And you're joining us for our silly little talk about all things Bluebeam, right? Some days we're talking about coffee or plants or estimations or, whatever. If you've learned something from us, or we can learn something from you, let's share. Let's build this community. Tag us on LinkedIn, tag us on the Facebook user group. If there's something else that we should be aware of as far as that would be helpful for our community, type it in the chat. Let's get this thing going because we want to build it up so we can learn from each other. Right?
Yep. We're all about the community, building the community. We've talked about other forums and things that people are using. We are not just a one-stop shop. We don't believe in bordering people out of specific things. We want to build the community. So feel free to use shout out. What would you say a hashtag is? It could be MCR or hashtag full thing morning coffee review.
Either way, I use morning coffee review myself, but MCR does pop up with some other things. And I don't want to this probably means some other company and I haven't looked into it that far. Yeah, I was hoping Vince was going to be on. I see your comment, David, that Vince taught you a good one yesterday. And Vince posted something in the Facebook group this morning that I responded to that I kind of wanted to dig into, but if he's not here, I'm not going to do it because it's kind of tricky and it's going to make my brain hurt.
I know
the coffee isn't soaked in yet.
Yeah, Vince is out in Europe, right? He was the UK. Was that correct?
He's in UK.
Yeah. I always see him post when I'm going to bed.
Oh,
like it's his start of the day. So
time zones are a thing. All right. So let's get going here.
Okay. Who's bringing it up? I'll go. But you have to give me a second because yes, I'm doing BIM management work. And if you guys see my background before I load up review, I'm going to have to do some explaining to Mr. Artley over here.
His desktop threw up, but that's okay. Nobody's perfect. Mine's out of control sometimes too.
Mine will be out of control until August. Okay. So we are going to do today is talk about estimating and how we can create tools that benefit. By the way, there will be a white paper that comes out geared towards creating custom count items and how we can create a custom sequence. I don't remember when that's coming out. DJ, CJ, do you remember when that is coming out from our marketing team? I finished it a little bit ago, I think at the beginning of the month, but it will be coming out soon as well. So you can have some literature to look at And you can always find those items on our resources pages at atgusa.com. And then under the resource white papers, you'll find this one being posted at some point. She's going to look it up. Alrighty. So let's go through, and first and foremost, let's ask the community, what type of estimation are we going to look for, or do we want to go through and cover? Typically, it could be a count. It could be some type of measurement feature that we want to get a cost estimate for, or maybe a total length of something. If not, I can go through and come up with something. But traditionally, we always like to ask if someone has a specific workflow that they want to go through, and explain the way as we go and kind of digest and show you what you would want to have.
We've done cost of paint to paint a wall. We've done millwork. We've done a couple other things, but I'd like to dig into counts. We'll do this one because it's something we maybe just brush on. We never like dive deep into counts, and I think we could have some fun with that.
Okay. So we have square footage of rooms for flooring. We have measurement features, and then June 9th, that white paper. Okay, let's start off with flooring first, and then we'll still create a count as we go through. Maybe we'll count sinks, right? Because everyone needs to know how many sinks we need to be placed.
Ooh, Brian's got a good one. I've never played with this one, so maybe we'll just get into the weeds and see what happens.
Okay. So first and foremost, we'll go through it and do a level floor, and then we'll get in and see what we have for our slope options. Traditionally, when I'm getting ready to set up, I would probably set up a profile, a custom profile. And if you're looking on what that means, I'll allude to a lot of things because I don't want to go too far into the woods at the beginning of the explanation of kind of baby steps going into it. If you want to know how to create custom profiles, we did a Blooming Into review. Part 1, go on to our YouTube and you can find how to create a custom profile. But traditionally, I'd probably create a custom profile for all of my estimation, just because I would have a couple different workflows, right? So to have review advanced, I'd probably do, and you'll receive the Count Blue profile, by the way, if you download the white paper. But I'd have a specific type of profile that populates open for my current workflow that I'm going to go through and use. So this is something that you'd want to have built up, and then we're going to start talking about creating those custom markups as we go through. So custom markups, traditionally what I do is I'll go through and let me set a scale to the page so that I can place them first. So I'll go through, and whatever I'm going to use for this one, we're going to use our area for going through and doing a cost estimate of flooring. Was the question asked? Or it wasn't asked, it was a statement. But as I go through to here, because I don't traditionally even go through and get ready to place it here like that. I'll go out in the open. So what I'll go through and do is I'll place one out in the open. I'll customize it the way I want it to look to represent whatever I need it to be. So Jason, let's have your creativeness in what we want to customize from the dynamic options bar.
Oh, I want this to be blue.
Blue.
But not just like bold blue. I want the light blue on the top. Not that one. There we go. That one. I feel a little aqua today.
I feel like it's a little light, but
well, then don't ask me for my opinion.
I asked you. Yeah. Okay. We'll do a darker one for this one.
The font's got to be darker, though. That's hard on my eyes.
Okay.
I'm an old man, Michael.
There we go.
Isn't that beautiful?
I don't ever say old. I say seasoned. Okay. So from here, we'll go in and do some hatch patterns as well. We'll just say this is going to be tile, of course, right?
Yeah.
Now, before I start this, I would also go through and create any customization I want for my custom columns, but I'm almost 100% sure.
You don't have custom columns in there.
I don't have them in this one. Because you could tie them to the profile. So that's why I was 100% sure. I must not have done a cost estimate portion of it and just showed a video for it. But there are some in the review advance. But what we'll do is we'll create a cost estimate too before. Just be aware when you're looking and creating your custom markup to represent whatever it needs to be. You can always go to your measurement portion, and you can also go down and change the labels for these. I prefer to go to the properties though, and you have the same options here. So you can show any segmented, but there isn't any for these ones for the sides. I didn't even know that it was for the sides that you could do that. That's cool. So you learned something new. So from here, you can also go through and show captions. And if you don't want captions here, because maybe you just want the representation of what it is, because everything's going to live in your markups list. For those of us that are new and tuning in to Revu and have never used Revu 4, there's metadata assigned to all of our markups that are placed on our PDF sets or any .pdf extension. And it's all being itemized down in our markups list. So that being said, most folks may not want to have the data live on our screen of the PDF as it's printed out, because they can create a detailed report that has all of that metadata listed out for you. Or maybe you're like Doug, who exports his data out into Power Query into Excel, or uses Power Query in Excel, but exports it out to Excel. I think that's the workflow. And if I'm saying it wrong, Doug, you can correct me.
We'll find out in San Diego in August.
Yes. And we get to see you all in person. That's going to be huge.
There's going to be so many high fives.
Okay. So going back, you can show your captions if you don't want any. And you may, I don't know, is DJ CJ going to be wearing a mask? That's the question. Okay. So from here, we have the option of showing nothing because all the data will be down. So then I'm going to also create my custom columns because I want to have a cost estimate for my flooring per item of placement. So what I can do is go to my markups list, which is the dotted line vertical or horizontal of actual lines 3. You can select this, populate it open, hit the drop down of the markups list, go to columns, go to manage columns. And then from here, you have your built-in columns for those of us that have never used Revu 4, or you can use your custom columns, which will allow you to go through and create a custom column for data. So for this instance right here, I'm going to hit add. I'm going to create a cost. The type of custom column is this going to be? This is going to be a numerical value, but the format's going to be currency. Decimal places, it's all good. The next one is going to be total cost. And from here, then this will be a formula-driven total cost, right? Because what we're going to do is we're going to take our total cost, so cost times whatever the measurement feature is, and it gives us an output here, right? So for this instance, we need to have length. So I guess you could do total length cost if you're going to do a specific expression for that instance, right? So because it's only going to do length or area, I guess this one would be. So we'll do area times cost. So all I'm doing, by the way, is when I type in a letter at the beginning, it gives me my available columns. You also have some functions down here too, if you want it as well.
It's not as detailed as some of the formulas you can make in Excel or something like that, but you can do pretty good.
Yeah. So this way I don't have to export. And if you did want to export, you could with a CSV file, or if you have Revu Extreme, you can export it out, which Revu Extreme may be different in the future. But right now you can export out within Revu 20 directly into Excel if you have Extreme.
That was a nice little teaser you got in there, Michael.
Yes. I'm still Johnny on the spot, even though it's a little bit earlier over here. So from here, you have the include totals as well. So this little check if you want to have your totals from the markups list too. Great. So we can save our profile if we want it, save these to our profile if we wanted to. That's what I was suggesting earlier. So as I open it up, I thought I had already done this because it will automatically imprint on or save to the metadata associated to the PDF. So the .pdf extension will automatically have these baked into it now. When it opens up, it'll auto-populate that information if there is any already assigned to there. So, and this happened to me before, by the way, where I had the markups that had the custom data, but my markups list didn't have it. And then when I added them, it already filled in That was pretty cool. So I didn't have to like reassign it or anything. Does that make
For
sense?
Yeah. For your material choices, what did you put in there already?
These were just already baked in, but I'm not doing anything with any of these.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to name my subject specific to what it is. But you could go and run with a choice and it has a numerical value assigned to it. And then you can have that numerical value assigned to it per instance. The only thing is if you're going through and selecting your choice-based items, you could have it pre-select as well, but I don't have my item set up for specific flooring takeoff.
Yeah, if you take that subject out and leave it blank, then you can apply that material to everything. Yeah. Every single markup will have that custom column. But if your subject matches, so here on the left, you see Michael's screen where you have one item where the subject says area measurement, it would have to say area measurement, right? So there are some tricks there if you leave it blank or if you leave it populated, because you have to know they have to match.
And this is also numerical. It's not a currency value. So it just comes up to whatever you want to use it for. If you don't mind that there's no dollar symbol beforehand, that's fine, because then you can just choice base these into it and then have it multiply by the numerical value here of the area to give you your output. So that's also an option.
Tricks galore.
So yes, you can hit save if you wanted to. This is going to save to the profile that you're currently active in, which I'm going to do for this instance. Now I'm going to hit OK. And now I'll have my total cost and cost overall. And I'm still not done, right? So we went through and just created a custom layout here as we go through. And we're going to go up to our tool chest here and look at this. So this is now brought into my markups list. And some folks usually traditionally ask me at this point, well, why didn't you give it subject matter or information for what they are right here? Reason being is that because once you decide to go through and move it, it won't change. I'm sorry, I'm totally thinking of a count versus a markup. So yes, I could have added it here versus my count, because if you go through and you change a markup into a count, it loses all of its data. This was already originally made as a count-based measurement feature, or sorry, a measurement feature, which allows me to assign data already to it. So we'll do that. I can do this up here in the top left or on the right-hand side of my properties, and we can change the subject matter to flooring. Just because for this instance, we'll probably make two just to show, and this one will be tile. Now, there's two different ways to use your pre-created markups. Those are properties mode or drawing mode. So you can double select or double click on your markups that have been made in your recent tools. Recent tools are going to be itemizing every single markup you've made in the use of this current Revu environment. So if I close out of here to the top right, all these will go away. If I close out of the PDF, they'll still stay here. So you can just double click to change these out. But what I want to do is bring them down into my custom tool set here. And if you want to learn more about custom tool sets, should we talk about it, Jason, in this session, or refer to the Blooming into review?
I mean, they all kind of tie together. We did cover this in the past couple of weeks, but if we got time at the end, we can circle back.
Okay. So I'm going to drag it into my custom created tool set. You can also right click on the markup once it was placed and bring it into here. So the one last thing I'm going to do, which I didn't do, which is selecting the markup from the tool set before I place it to give it some more data, is going over to my cost here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign it a cost value for my tile. So what cost is tile? We'll say.
Depends on the day. Let's
or
say
the type of tile too, but
I'm gonna say 275. I'm not gonna pull up Home Depot's website or Lowe's for that matter.
So there's my cost. This is where your custom columns will live whenever you create them to assign them to the markup as you're placing them. And now I can hit escape, be out of this. I could delete this if I wanted to, because now I'm going to change this to detail mode. I'll have that information as well. And now when I go through and populate information for it, it will, I guess I could have saved it. Because now what I'm going to do also is create a new one that is going to be my choice of color. We'll do orange. And then I'm going to go through, I guess I can make the text orange, but we're not going to show any text. And what we'll do for this instance is we'll make this one carpet. People still use carpet, right?
Yeah.
I have carpet
good
in my
on the
house,
feet.
so I don't know why I said that.
It's cold up here in the Midwest.
So we'll say carpet is going to be cheaper, right? I guess it depends on the type of carpet you have.
$269.
Okay.
Does it include the pad and the underlayment? There's so many different things.
I don't know. So this one will have that data baked in. We'll go up and it's carpet. So you can always right click on the markup that you have selected and add it to your custom tool set. So now that's been added and you can change it between the modes of what they were. So I'm going to wide select this, and that is going through and creating your custom markup with data baked into it before you start, right? And the thought behind this is I don't ever have to come back and recreate them because they're one and done, right? They have the data. I guess if you were trying to do different types at different costs at different times, you probably have to go back and edit the cost value for it. But again, you could do that from the markups list if you wanted to, but as placement, we'll go through and do that.
So
Are there any questions?
Question from David. Are the columns that you have set, are they set so if you choose the material, Revu sets the cost? And I didn't see that you did, but that is an option.
Sets the cost. So Revu doesn't set the cost. There's a cost associated to the choice.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have your material choices set up where, and you have the subject match, right? You'll be able to do that because now with your subject saying flooring takeoffs, you won't be able to assign that choice to any of the areas that you're going to make unless that subject says flooring takeoffs as well.
Yeah. And Jason taught me that, which was if it's empty, it's not, you can assign it to whatever.
I wonder if it's case sensitive.
Anybody I don't know, but you can't do multiple, which I tried, which was like comma or some other value to say it works for this and that. It's singular or all.
Bummer.
Okay. So now that we've gone through and created those, let's go through and take some measurements, right? This is the best part. So now all we have to do is, hey, you received a set and you can open up your tool chest and you can do a live on-screen takeoff within Revu. So I can go and look at my custom markups on my Count Blue, and you can close these out so you have more room. You know what? If I were you folks that are in the industry, and if you have two screens, I would probably drag this out and have this on my other screen here, which you can't see. But you can you see me dragging it over?
No, it's stuck there.
Well, that's
right by your vestibule.
But you could drag it over now. That's probably what I would do, to be honest. But it just gives you more real estate, right? So I can go into here and I can start using my markups, and we will have tile in the electrical room. And then, and you're probably going to ask me, because this always comes up, hey, Mike, why are you, can you do something that's not just a rectangle? Like the break room, we're going to add tile, right? Yes, you can left click by points if you want to get granular on where you're selecting versus having a left click and hold. And I think we talked about that in the Blooming into Revu, the different options of placement. But for this instance, just to go quick, we'll just say whatever this room is going to be carpet here.
So left click and hold versus left click and release will control if you're going to do a rectangle or a square driven area measurement, or if you're going to go line by line. Takes a little practice.
Yes. And if we're looking at this, this will host all of our data down, down below. And I did subject matter of flooring. So when I itemize by my subjects, I can have the totals for the entire building of flooring. Or if you wanted to, you can click the column of label, and it'll be per those single instance of what the label is. So it just comes down to how you want to organize your data. Hey, well, what's the flooring cost of the entire building? Great, organized by subject. oh, hey, what's the total cost of tile and carpet individually? Okay, sort by label, right? And you'll have your totals for those instances in here.
So pretty cool trick. See what's going on there in the markups list? You could probably do things pretty screwy if you were not paying attention. So depending on what you have selected will change the values that you see at the top of your screen. So,
and then also just being hyper aware of how you're creating and what you're creating for your subjects and labels, right? That will allow you to organize your data. So thinking about your end goal first, and then kind of backtrack on how you would create those tools to get to your end goal is kind of what we would do and go through. Let's see if my Excel is working today and I don't have to do a repair, but you can link these in to Excel if you wanted to.
If you have Review Extreme only.
Thank you.
For now. Oh, did I say that?
So what we can do is I'll have to save this to my desktop, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll save this to my desktop and then we'll come back. See, this is why my desktop gets so filled up with things. Or am I just making excuses?
Just adopt it. Just roll with it.
Okay, so from here, desktop, there we are. Hit OK. Okay, it's good. Sweet. So from here now I can go to my, we're just going to show you an individual column. We're not going to go through and break this out like we've done for our Excel talk. But you can open up quantity link by right clicking on a cell, go to create, I forget the name, but I'm going to grab the area of a measurement from that markup, which is the carpet. So there we go. So now I have my totals here for it.
But there's nowhere in there that tells you that it's carpet, right? So you have to manually add that label.
Yeah, this is plugging in the data, the measurement data through quantity link. So what I did was right clicked on a cell, quantity link. I created a link, but I think it was first you have to add the source file. So I'm adding the file, and it could be multiple files too.
Excellent. So yeah, a question there about, or from David, the cost column shouldn't have a total option checked, right? So there is an option to include in totals. And that's where you're seeing here on the markups list for tile, the top value is 922.07 because it's adding up those things together.
Oh, you're saying here include totals? You don't have to. Yeah.
So if things go weird, then you can toggle that off. Much cleaner that way. Yeah. It does make that total cost column that you created stand out, right? So
yeah. Then the ability to export too. So maybe you don't want to go to Excel, or you don't have Extreme and you should upgrade. But if you don't want to, and you can go to here and you can export your data manually. So you don't have to copy and paste to a CSV file, or, hey, I don't even want the measurement data here or the cost value in here. I want to grab my measurement data and export it out to my third-party software solution that has all of the pre-built-in cost estimates. You can do that too. You just have to go up to your summary report here, do CSV or XML summary for either of these, which allow you to export that data out, either markups, totals, or markups and your totals. So you don't have to include totals. It's completely up to you on what you're going to format and export out.
All right. We have an excellent question here from Carson. For the Excel import, can you create templates so that you do not have to remap each cell for every new project? Because I don't know if we've tried this before, because you can do export templates.
Yeah, but it comes from the, this is pointing to the source file data.
If you always use the same exact PDF,
Yeah.
it would potentially work.
Because this create link only establishes data from that PDF.
Right. So regardless of any template, you could have a template that had like your logo and your categories and stuff. You could have all that done, but I think you would still need to manually go set up those cells to read from a specific PDF file.
Yeah.
So this question, can you change the source but keep the links?
Yeah,
you can manage the source. Yeah.
You can add new source files. You can change the source, but again, the source is pointing to whatever the data is from your PDFs.
If you change your source file, would it remember what, as long as it was spelled the same way? Yeah, there's some possibilities there, but your workflow would have to be pretty well documented.
Yeah, because if I go through and it's still pointing to that sheet and location of what it is, if I remove it. So we're trying to go through and change the source file. If I add this, let's just do, this one here. And if I remove this, it's still looking for the data. So hold on. So 2.0. So we'll have our second one. So what I'll do is I'll go back and add that and see if it updates. Why am I think this used to be over there. So Excel. Okay. So right clicking, source files. Now let me delete this one. Well, let me add the other one and remove this one. Oh, see, so it is saving it. So I guess you could have it already there and just change your source files out.
Yeah. So as long as you followed a good naming convention, you knew where that file was, it looks like it would be possible. Not automated, but possible.
So basically, yes, you create a template in Excel. And then whenever you get a new source file, you just delete the old one and place that in and you're done. You don't have to reestablish what that metadata is. You just, hey, this is my template PDF for my markups and data to put into Excel, and then remove it when you're ready. Who was asking that question?
That was Carson.
Okay. Yeah, so you can set up a company template if you needed to for it. That's new to me. So
yeah, part of your presentation. There you go, Doug. Your prep is ahead of ours already. Yeah, so if you had 10,000 standard items that you used every time, you could do the same thing on a larger scale. Technically.
So I think his thought process is, right, we have, which is what we do whenever we do our normal Excel link. We'll set it up in here, type everything out, and then quantity link our values where they need to be. But those values right there will be able to be kept there. Doesn't matter what the source file is. And then when you bring in the source file after you've done your measurement, you're just right clicking and relinking that new source file so that you have that appropriate data from the right project.
Very cool.
You don't have to redo the link, which is point to this column in that PDF to give me the data that I want. Okay.
It does sound like a management nightmare, but some people would probably get all giddy about that opportunity to do that type of work. But that's not your boy here.
I mean, creating standards is definitely something I enjoy, so that could be fun. That way, everyone's on the same page no matter what.
Oh, I'm 100% on board with standards, but taking 10,000 different standardized items and trying to, no. Some people would love it. It's an amazing challenge, as David says.
Yes. So the other one was going through and creating a count. So we need to get a count for our sinks. So when I go through and create a count, there's two ways. You can create a sequence or a count for a visual item. Sequence allows you to visually see what the number value is of placement for them. I don't like that because it will create an instance for every placement. It doesn't group them together as a collective whole. But again, to each their own, right? Because I'm not going to knock on somebody that wants to do it a specific way. So I'll show you both. So if I want to go through and create a custom count specific to my sinks, I get to decide, since I am the one here doing this outline, the shape and color that I want to go through and use for my sinks. So instead of it being a circle, because that's what we're already using, so I'm not going to use the ellipse, we'll just do a squarish rectangle. And then from here, what I can go through and do is add some hatch patterns if I wanted to as well. That's not the greatest. Let's use Jason's favorite hatch. Okay. So then I can go through and customize the way I want this to look to then create it as a count. Now, as I was saying before, you don't want to add any data to it prior to making it into a count or sequence, because it all gets removed into whatever it is for the measurement. Because as of right now, this is seen as a rectangle, right? In order for me to make a rectangle into a count, I need to move it into a tool set, and we'll move it into my tools. So this is over here. I'm going to drag it into my tools right down here of the count blue. I'm going to double click it and make it into a drawing mode versus properties mode, which I had before. And then I can right click on it and create count. Now, that's not how I create a sequence, because a sequence value has to have a numerical or alphabetical lettering in it in order for it to create a sequence, which we'll do secondary. But for this instance, I've now created it into a count, and it has our new measurement feature. I do not need that rectangle. I can right click, say delete, and I can tab into this and name this sink. Oh, well, we'll do plumbing and then sink.
There you go.
Or, man,
Fixtures.
sink and sink type. It's up to you. But for me, I'm going to keep it simple. Do plumbing and then sink. Because you could do sink and the size of the sink,
Right.
like I did for my return diffusers and the size of it. So it's up to you. Okay. Now that we have that, I could also do a cost value for this specific type of sink, but we don't know because they're overall, right? So we'll just give it a roundabout cost of what would be that sink cost, Mr. Artley.
$78.27. We shopped at Restore.
Okay. So I'm going to go through and delete this one, and we'll create our custom sequence value now. So in order to create a sequence, you have to have a numerical value. So I'm going to use the text box, and then I'm going to type in a value. It could be numerical or alphabetical for that instance. I'm going to also change the size of text that it is. We'll just do 8, and then Alt-Z to auto size my text box. And then I'm going to create a custom shape around this. But I'm also going to make sure that I have enough room for the amount that I'm going to do. Like a double number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brian mentioned in the chat that they used sequencing when placing proposed borehole data. So like borehole 1, borehole 2. So this is good timing that you're throwing in this little tidbit.
Okay. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my text. So selecting the text, style, center, and middle. Then I'm going to select my circle, my text for all of us that are OCD. Is Matt here? Matt's teaching, I think. Matt's been pretty busy. So we'll align the middle, because I always look to Matt because he... yeah, so I can, right. I can align the middle, and then I can also align to center of those objects by selecting the ellipse and then the number, and it'll align these to center.
You should share that trick again, because that one is very, very cool and very overlooked.
Yes. So this is traditionally used to align the page, but if you select your shape and then your numerical value, you can right click and align it with these tools here.
So now it's perfect. And if that does become a double number, it will stay always in the center of that circle.
Yeah. So then once this has been created, I can group these together. Now to group them together, you do not go through, I guess it doesn't matter because it's going to be a sequence value and it's going to change it anyways. But traditionally what you would do is you're not going to select the shape first. It's the numerical value first, then the shape, because once you change the information for it, it'll update this. You can still double click into this, even though when you're grouping them, to update this if you wanted as well. But I'm going to right click and say group. It is now added into my markups. And what I can do is drag it into count blue, right click, and add to a sequence value now. Because this was grayed out before because there's no numerical or alphabetical system in it. Now, since this is a sequence one, I can go through and define the sequence value of what this will be. So you can have a different style. You can have 1, 2, 3, all of this data. If you wanted prefixes, what's it going to start at increment? This is very important down here. This is more of what you and how the style you want it to be. This is important because is it going to reset your sequence per document or per page? So for this instance, it's going to be per document. And then renumber when the markups are deleted. Yes, hit OK. Now you have a play button.
Magical.
Do plumbing again. Oh, that's right. These don't get labels. They get comments.
Mm-hmm.
Over here trying to double click it. Okay. So why don't I like these? Again, they each their own, right? The reason why I don't like these is because it's going to itemize every instance placed in my markups list. So now I have, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these.
But this is still perfect for the workflow that Brian was talking about with boreholes. So on a civil site plan where you got a much bigger thing and you're doing that, it works perfect. Interior work with sinks, it's going to get cluttered real quick.
Yeah.
Right tool for the job at the right time.
Now, this one I like. Well, actually, let's just show you one more thing for this before we go through and remove it. You can also select whatever instances have been placed, and you can go through and delete the single ones. And I said renumber, so it automatically renumbers them. So let's go and grab all these and delete them. Next one is our count. I prefer this method. Should we do search and place count?
That's my favorite.
Okay, so we'll go through and search for these.
As little thinking as possible is usually my entire MO of my day.
So you have the search panel over here on the right, which is a magnifying glass. You can search for text and review, or you can search by visual search and have review search for you. Anything that's automatic, I always have it go through and verify myself visually. So I always recommend double checking with this. But you can go and select a rectangle of data that you want review to search for. And then from here, you can say current documents, current page, all open documents, recent folders, the whole 9 yards. And then my sensitivity is what will review look at in this snippet and search for. The more to the right, the more sensitive in terms of line style, line weights, shape, all that stuff. Over here on the left, it can go whatever it wants to search for, and it'll start bringing those up. And then you have some more things and boundaries that you can search for. So I'm going to hit search. We'll see down here in the bottom as it starts to create a percentage of what that information is in terms of looking, hey, I've scanned the entire document this much percent wise. And then it will also go down and show me a result for those as I can then go through and select from there. So give it a couple of seconds here. It's almost done. I'll see my search results here. I can scroll through and verify that it's selected the correct ones. I can also click on these to verify that these are the right ones as well. If you wanted to get more clarification, you select the checkbox next to them if you're going to apply something to those specific ones. So I know they're all good. So I'm going to check all. And then the Thunderbolt here is what's going to allow you to apply things to them like a hyperlink or mark as redaction or apply a count, which is what we're doing. So I can apply a plumbing sink count to those ones. And then I can also go through and replace text. That's for something different, not this instance. And it's gone through and placed them. You can see it's missed one. I knew it missed one because it was 10, not 11. But there's the grid line that goes through here. So if I was a little less sensitive, it probably would have picked it up. But either way, you can always select the string. You can right click and you can hit resume count. And now that'll be part of those total counts.
You got me.
You know
I learned something new today too. The resume count, maybe I forgot about it.
Do you just add a new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I redo it, and I fight with my sensitivity.
Yeah. So now it's a total here, right? So this one didn't have a total cost value times count. So you'd have to create another column. I don't know. Oh, you could still bake it into the original column, right? Let's see. Because if there's no value there, it's not going to do that either.
Oh, count.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is an experiment I've never seen before.
No, it doesn't. Too many variables that aren't completed. So it gives it 0.
It's worth a shot. Your formula uses area. Oh, use area, not count. Count times cost is what you need.
No, I know that. I was hoping that if it was 0 here, it still did cost times whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. So I'd have to do one that's total count cost, total area cost. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Multiply times 0 times 0.
Okay, so he's saying maybe cost 2. So, or count.
Sinks totally have an area, David. That's where the water goes in.
Oh, won't let me bring up the variable.
You can area plus count. Ooh. Area plus count. Because, it wouldn't have both of them.
It won't let me bring up the variable, only at the end.
Carson's saying PEMDAS in the chat, and that's hurting my feelings a little bit. Remember? Parentheses and all that stuff.
I had to do a lengthy formula based for Revit the other day, and it was definitely draining mentally for me. Okay.
Anything with Revit is draining for me.
It still doesn't do it, yeah.
Area plus count. Is that a plus? It's so hard to see.
No, it's multiplying.
Use the measurement column, not area.
Either way, what I'm trying to do is circumvent the fact that I have to create 2 separate ones. So we'll do cost.
Well, that's what Doug's
total
alluding to. Take away area. You had it right. Take that one away and use measurement.
But how does it know what measurement to grab? What if there isn't multiple for it?
It shouldn't be. Boom. So yeah, if you have a count, you're not going to have an area. And if you have an area, you're not going to have a count, although you technically could. That's the $64,000 question.
There we are.
That's a neat trick. Thanks, everybody. Made that work out pretty well. So you see what we did there?
Yeah.
So normally we would do area times cost to get the total cost, but now we switched to measurement times cost. So if that measurement is an area or a length or a count or whatever, it's all done.
Populates it for it. Sweet. What else?
So you did count. You did area. Might as well just do a polylength here somewhere too. Oh, wait, we got to go back and do Brian's thing. Where was that? Because I will screw it up. An area of a slope surface projected onto a 2D plan view. So let's say that one of these rooms is sloped for drainage. Maybe it's something. I mean, or we could switch to a simple site plan, but there's that. So how do we do a slope in here? Because that is a measurement style.
Yes. So you can provide a slope by degree. No, we'll do pitch. Unless you want to do degree and you want to tell me what degree.
I want to do grade.
Okay.
There we go. 2%. So yeah, stadium seating, drained floor, or landscaping. Like there's a ton of reasons that you'd want to use this. Sidewalk, you know, if you've got an ADA ramp, but usually you can have.
So does this change
What?
the overall for this then? It does. Look at that.
Because it's assuming a thickness.
No, it's adding the slope for the grade at whatever it is. So it's compensating for the square footage of what you would have per the grading slope of what it is.
Interesting.
So watch this markup here as I change the grade. So it's doing the math for you.
Yeah, Alex, your question is right on time. How does it know which direction, right? Is it going from bottom to top of that rectangle, or is it going from left to right?
Does it matter?
Yeah.
No, because okay. So
doesn't matter. We did the math. Direction doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because we're just getting the estimate of the total square footage to get the cost, right? So does it matter the direction in this?
It's one of those a squared plus b squared equals c squared things.
Yeah.
Pythagorean theorem. Oh man.
And we don't need to know, right? What direction? Well, we need to know for construction. Sorry. For my estimation, I do not need to know which direction it is, because I'm just trying to get what that total square footage will be at that grade, right?
Right.
So.
Oh, Craig asked, calculate the volume of a retention basin. And this kind of ties in with what Vince was talking about earlier on the Facebook group. You know, doing some civil measurements and volumes you can do with Revu. It takes a lot of setup, but it's really not the right tool for the job. Civil 3D makes that so much easier. And chances are those drawings are originating in Civil 3D anyway. Use Civil. Just don't smooth your contours, because you'll make Brian unhappy.
You can go through and use volume if you needed to as well. You just have to give the depth of what it is. Maybe it's the foot. You do have that option. So,
ooh, compound grades. I don't know if it will do that. And Doug says it will not do the slope of a curved line. So, interesting. So if you have a curved line for retention basin, it's not going to slope down at 4:1 or 25% or.
Well, I can't even make a curve. I mean, you could pick per point, right? So, because I think it's just giving, and it's kind of like one of those instances where you're having an overall depth. It's just giving when you're having the rise and drop for your pipe network, it's just adding to the overall, right? I don't think that it's going to change. It still can give you the grade here. And does it update? Yeah, it still does.
It's a little tricky.
Yeah.
So yeah, it even confused the technical team at Bluebeam. And maybe that'll change in Revu Super Ultra Mega next month or July.
Oh, Vince is here, and you had a question for him, right? Or
yeah, we're going to talk about doing civil earthwork calculations.
Okay.
Which is kind of tricky, and honestly, that could be a whole episode on its own. But like I said, it's really not the right tool for the job. Is it the tool that you have? Sure. Is it efficient? Absolutely not.
I'll let you take the lead on that one. I'll tap out.
That's for another day.
All right. So we have about 6 minutes here. We talked about all of our information of going through and creating sequences, counts, items for our flooring takeoff. We went into Excel. We didn't go over in depth on how we can link data into Excel or any of that information, but I guess we did a high level overview of how we could go through and do that. We created our custom tool sets. We didn't talk about custom profiles, but we did suggest going back to blooming into morning coffee review. Blooming into review, not morning coffee review.
Yeah.
And we also,
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You can go.
We did a refresher series a couple of weeks back. So this is the first time you're joining us on Morning Coffee Review. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Our marketing team does an amazing job of putting all of our content, whether it be Morning Coffee Review or Revit or Autodesk webinars. We've got a ton of stuff up on the YouTube channel. Check it out. If you're looking at for a little refresher, if what we did today was a little bit advanced for you, go back a couple episodes. This will catch on and real quick.
Yeah, and just be aware if you are new, and we do understand you may not, for some of our more advanced items that we randomly talk about, it may be kind of a little bit over what we're currently knowledge bases of review, but just kind of look at it from a different perspective of, hey, this is what it can do at some point, right? You can go back and there's tons of videos that we have on our YouTube channel that will help introduce you into review. We just aren't going to do basics every single time. We are here for everyone and every single skill level. So like for this, for instance, maybe we're getting more into a niche of specific estimation of what we're going to do for costs, and we're covering that specific one. But at any point, if you are new and you do have a question that needs to be answered, we are here for you every Tuesday at 8:30. Just ask in the chat. So is the community as well. As you can see each other, everyone talking and chatting in the chat. They're also here to help. We're trying to build a community around Bluebeam and the solution, and that's what this is all about. Don't forget when you are on social media to give us a shout out. Yes, it is early for me. I agree, Craig. If you're in Arizona, then it's early for you too. But again, we're here for the community, here to help out, and we'll hopefully see you soon at XCon. Be sure to throw us up some kind of social media if you ever have some time. And don't forget to tag us, Morning Coffee Review. Anything else, Jason?
Yeah, and if you get the survey at the end of this, type in if you've got ideas for a future topic or a question that we can build an episode around. Let's go for it. That's what we like to do. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of Michael and I scratching our heads. So we do take a look at all that stuff. It is helpful.
Yeah, we do take a look at all the surveys at the end. And all I have to say is if Jason and I don't meet your 5 standard, please let us know why, versus just giving us a low standard of how you rate us. Because we cannot be better as instructors or presenters or at this live podcast that we do if we don't receive information as why we are performing not to your standard. Also, if you do want more information at the end, please leave things in the survey comments too. And if you have suggestions or you have a workflow that you would love to show the community, also put that in there too. Anything else, Jason?
That's about it. So, of course, thanks to ATG for supporting what we're doing. If you're looking for Autodesk or Bluebeam or Esri software or training, let us know. Otherwise, join us every Tuesday for this Bluebeam Morning Coffee Review thing. Next week, I forgot what we have going on. I'll have to check the list. If you're signed up for the ATG marketing emails, you'll get the little reminder, let you know like the webinars that we have and what the Morning Coffee Review topic is going to be. It comes in pretty handy. Block it off on your calendar. Thanks for joining us if it's early. I know it is early for Michael and some of you heading on the West Coast. And I think we've got some more international folks here too. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching in the future. I hope you're doing well.
I agree. And have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. And we will see you all next week. Until next time.
Yep. Be safe out there, everybody.